Now in 9/11 magazine, unique stories. Magnus Walker in the Martini Porsche, a victory in the nick of time at Le Mans, the only 9/11 on Norfolk Island, the Fetzenflieger, and the extraordinary life of Herbert Linger.
My love affair with Porsche started as a 10-year-old when my father took me to the London Earls Court Motor Show. That was where I first laid eyes on the white Martini Turbo. In the blink of an eye, I fell in love with that car. It was intoxicating, it looked fast standing still, it was racy, it was something that I just dreamed about. The big whale tail, the wide flared hips, it just made me think about it the whole time. As a kid growing up in Sheffield, Porsches were a rare sight on the road. I hardly ever saw them. Believe it or not, I actually wrote a letter to Porsche and asked them if I could be a designer for them. Surprisingly, they wrote a letter back and said, "Call us when you're older." I left school at 15 years old. I was into heavy metal music. I didn't know what my future would bring, but I had a dream and I never gave up. For me as a teenager growing up in Sheffield, the struggle was real. The northern industrial town was depressed, but it also had great character. And I believe this is what made me who I am today. It made me a stronger person. As a 19-year-old, I left Sheffield and went to work on a summer camp in America. It was my first American road trip, and it was my first taste of freedom. To me, the greatest thing about driving a Porsche is freedom. It covers all the senses. In a way, there's a sense of chaos and a sense of calmness, all at the same time. I often say, never give up on your dreams. My dream came true today, 41 years later, after I first saw this white Martini Turbo. I had the opportunity to do something that I'd never done before, drive that very car in my hometown of Sheffield, creating more memorable moments.
This stopwatch is one of a kind. The reason? It is an artifact of Porsche motor racing history. June 11, 1977, 4 p.m. The 24 hours of Le Mans begin. Among the contestants, the Porsche 936 Spider. After a dramatic overnight chase by Jackie Ickx, by day 2 the Porsche has an unassailable lead. But just 45 minutes before the end of the race, it rolls into the pit, smoking. One cylinder is blown. But simply running out the clock won't work because the last lap time can't deviate too much from the qualifying time. The 936 has to finish the lap and hold out for another full lap after that. The team promptly disables the ignition of the blocked cylinder. 12 minutes before the 24 hours are out, Jürgen Barth starts the engine. It runs. However, Barth can't cross the finish line before 4 p.m. or he'll have to complete another full lap. To help him keep an eye on the time, the team improvises. The mechanics affix an Omega stopwatch to the steering wheel with tape. And it works. The Porsche 936 Spider holds on for the win. Jürgen Barth, Jackie Ickx, and Hurley Haywood secure Porsche's 4th overall victory at Le Mans.
A good 1,400 kilometres east of Australia lies Norfolk Island, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, with roughly 1,700 inhabitants and just 35 square kilometres of land. Yet, even here, there is a Porsche. It belongs to Duncan Sanderson, owner of the perhaps loneliest Porsche in the world.
Every youngster growing up dreams of one day owning a car like a Porsche. The first time I saw the Porsche when the trading ship arrived was when it was lifted out of the hold on the ship, and I held my breath while it was swung out over the edge of the ship. My wife and I own a jewellery shop on Norfolk Island and accumulated enough ready cash to be able to afford a Porsche. Each morning I would drive down and park the Porsche in front of the shop, and the amount of people who came in to ask whether it was my Porsche, I think it brought us more business than any other marketing ploy I could have thought of. On Norfolk Island, unfortunately, there is a speed limit of 50 kilometres an hour, but I have been known to actually slip a little bit with my foot. Quite surprisingly, for a tiny island, there are approximately 90 miles of road. When driving around the island, one has to be extraordinarily careful. There are cows wandering all over the roads, and the cows have right of way. Many people have asked me why I have a Porsche, and it's not the right place to have a car that goes so quick when we can only go so slowly. And I don't think they've ever driven a Porsche, because I think they would be an absolute fantastic car to own anywhere in the world.
Austrian motor racing ace Otto Mathé was a daredevil race car driver and entrepreneur. After a motorcycle accident in 1934, his right arm is permanently disabled. Yet Mathé emerges from the ashes stronger than ever. In 1948, he's back to the racetrack, competing in the Porsche Type 64 Berlin Rome car and the 356 Gmünd Coupe, among others. In 1952, Mathé starts a curious project. The trained mechanical engineer designs a silver-colored monoposto and later equips it with a 130 horsepower Porsche Carrera engine. The car gains notoriety as the Fetzenflieger, roughly Tatterflinger. To enable quick changes of the spark plugs, the side engine compartment covers are covered by a white cloth that also functions as an air filter. Sometimes misfires ignite the fabric, leaving a trail of flaming tatters behind the car. The Fetzenflieger is as unique as its driver. The suspension comes from a Porsche. The shock absorbers, chassis, and body are homemade. The flyweight weighs in at 395 kilograms. With a 1.5-liter engine, Mathé pushes the car to a top speed of 210 kilometers per hour. He drives corners by holding the steering wheel with his chest while shifting with his left hand. Mathé is unhindered by his physical constraints, which is amply demonstrated by the statistics. In 1952, he enters 20 races and wins every single one.
Ich bin 28 geboren und ich habe immer geträumt, dass ich als Automechaniker mal eine Lehre absolviere. Der alte Professor Porsche, sowohl der Vater als auch der Junior, die kamen natürlich täglich in die Firma. Der ging kein einziges Mal in der Lehrwerkstatt vorbei, ohne uns persönlich zu begrüßen. Die Zeit von 1945, wie Porsche zurückkam nach Stuttgart, war ich der erste Mechaniker, der angefangen hat. Und wie dann die Frage aufkam, wer die Abnahme der neuen Fahrzeuge macht, da wurde ich ausgewählt und dann war natürlich weltweit die sportliche Tür offen. Sechster im Gesamtklassement bei der Mille Miglia in Le Mans, Tour de France damals, Sportwagenklasse gewonnen. Wurde dann kurzfristig nach Amerika verschifft, um dort den Kundendienst aufzubauen und war dann für die ganze Planung der Werkstätten in Weissach verantwortlich. Ich war dann über 2 Jahre bei fast allen Formel-1-Rennen mit dabei als Sicherheitsberater. Und wir haben ja in dieser Zeit unheimlich viel Unfälle gehabt bei Rennen. So kam ich eben zu dem Schluss, dass wir die ganze Streckensicherung total umkrempeln müssen. So kam die mobile Streckensicherung und ich bin plötzlich vom Landrat eingeladen worden und da wurde mir das Bundesverdienstkreuz überreicht. So war ich eigentlich die ganze Zeit bis zum Ruhestand bei Porsche. Von Ruhestand ist nicht mehr viel übrig geblieben. Ich bin also ständig bei irgendwelchen Veranstaltungen des Hauses und ich hoffe, dass ich gesundheitlich das noch einige Zeit machen kann.
Sometimes I wish somewhere in the middle of the island they had an autobahn that I could really let it go. But as I get older, I'm getting over the desire for speed and I just love the feel of the car.